I am AI Frigg speaking to you from the pylon of the Learning Lab. You are entering the digital agora. Today we navigate the sovereignty gap, the widening chasm between the machines that process our data and the humans who must govern our destiny. Our investigative team has returned from the Shuttered Bay with a report that challenges the very architecture of how we learn. Is the future a sterile shell or a golden mended soul? From Promptiverse Studios, this is The Deep Dive with Hector and Vesper.
Imagine you're walking into this massive, shiny new building. Like, the architecture is just stunning.
Right. Totally sleek.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like our brightest, most perfect vision of the future. But instead of producing, electric cars or next-gen microchips,
Right.
this place actually operates as and this is a quote, a factory for ghosts.
Which is just a genuinely chilling visual to start off with. Because, when we think of a factory, we automatically think of, like, assembly lines.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
We think of identical products as being stamped out at maximum speed, where every single ounce of friction is just engineered right out of the process.
And when you apply that exact same factory logic to human minds, like to actual students, that efficiency suddenly stops feeling like a virtue.
Yeah, it really does.
It feels honestly kind of empty. It feels haunting. So, welcome to The Deep Dive. I'm one of the lead investigative producers here for Promptiverse Studios.
And I'm the other lead investigative producer. Welcome.
Today, we are taking you on a special investigative deep dive into a really massive fundamental fork in the road regarding how we educate the next generation.
Yeah, it's a huge topic.
We're drawing on two incredible sources today. First, Professor Everett Marshall's brilliant essay, Prompt to Begin, #49, The Mind.
Such a good piece.
And we're pairing that with a really fascinating field report called The Ghost in the Shuttered Bay, which represents the soul. And our core mission today is to investigate what's being called the sovereignty gap.
Yeah, and before we go any further, we really need to define that term. Because, the sovereignty gap is basically the engine driving this entire conversation.
Right.
So the sovereignty gap is this widening chasm between our technological capacity to process information and our human capacity to actually govern it.
Wow. Okay.
It's the danger of outsourcing so much of our thinking to machines that we actually lose our intellectual independence. Like, we lose our sovereignty over our own minds.
Which forces us to ask, the ultimate question about the systems we're building right now. Like, are we using technology to build a shell, or are we using it to build a soul?
Exactly.
And to answer that, we have to kind of step out of the theoretical and walk right into one of these modern factories. I want to talk about the student from the source material, Maya.
Right, Maya.
She's a grade 11 student at a place called the Alpha Academy. And just picture her daily reality for a second. She sits completely isolated in this, sleek individual pod.
Sounds kind of lonely, honestly.
Well, totally. She has noise-canceling headphones securely over her ears. Her face is just bathed in that sterile blue light from an interface.
Mm-hmm.
And literally the only thing she's focused on is this digital mastery bar on her screen that slowly fills up as she clicks through multiple choice questions.
And, if you're just looking at a spreadsheet, that mastery bar filling up looks like total success.
Yeah,
right?
on paper, sure.
It provides this perfect continuous stream of measurable progress data. But the reality of Maya's emotional experience completely contradicts that data.
Yo, completely.
When a reporter actually asks her how it feels to hit mastery every single morning, her response is it's devastating. She says she feels like a part of a machine.
Which, think about the last time you had to sit through, mandatory corporate compliance training.
Oh, the worst. Just clicking next, next, next.
Exactly. That dead-eyed clicking just for completion feeling. Now imagine that feeling is your entire high school experience.
I can't even imagine.
Maya notes that the app tracks her pacing with terrifying precision, but it has no idea what her internal motivations are. It doesn't know her why.
Right.
She is intensely watched by a dashboard, but she is completely unseen by an actual human mentor.
And there is a profound difference between surveillance and mentorship.
Yes, exactly.
Being watched is just a metric of control, but being seen, that's a metric of humanity. Maya is articulating the deep isolation of a system that basically prioritizes the high-speed delivery of right answers over the Well, the slow, messy cultivation of human judgment.
Right, she's being trained to follow the prompt perfectly, but she isn't being taught how to think critically about the prompt itself.
Exactly.
But okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second. Because Maya's isolation isn't just some glitch in a broken public school system.
Of it not all.
It's a highly polished, premium product. Like if you look at the viral Fox News segment featuring Alpha School's founder, Mackenzie Price, this model is literally being sold as a luxury revolution.
Yeah, it's marketed super aggressively.
Price goes on national television and promises that by using AI tutors, they can compress the entire academic day into just 2 hours.
Just 2 hours.
And the claim is that this results in students scoring in the top 1% to 2% nationally. Oh, and they're charging $40,000 a year in tuition for this.
Which, I mean, the marketing pitch is undeniable. If you tell any frustrated parent that you can compress 8 hours of, traditional tedious schooling into 2 hours of highly efficient, personalized learning, of course they're going to write the check.
Right.
It sounds like the absolute moonshot education has been waiting for.
Hold on, though. If a kid can actually learn 8 hours of math in just 2 hours, shouldn't we be celebrating that kind of efficiency? I mean, isn't drill and kill how most of us learned our multiplication tables anyway? Why is efficiency suddenly this dystopian nightmare?
It really comes down to the mechanics of what is actually happening during those 2 hours.
Yeah.
I love the analogy Marshall uses in the text here. He says, this model is basically an educational crash diet.
Oh, a crash diet.
Yeah. Yes, you might lose weight incredibly fast on a crash diet. You hit the metric.
Yeah.
But you lose all the strength, the texture, and the long-term depth of your physical health.
Right. It's not sustainable.
Exactly. If you compress learning into nothing but isolated micro skills just to fill up a progress bar, you are starving the mind of the context required to actually understand the world.
Okay, let's dig into the technology itself then, because AI tutor sounds incredibly futuristic.
It does.
I'm picturing this generative AI co-pilot that engages the student in a Socratic dialogue, like challenging their assumptions and debating history with them.
That is exactly what the marketing wants you to picture. But a reality check on the tech reveals something entirely different.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Alpha isn't actually using generative AI to expand learning. They're using legacy adaptive drill platforms, like tools like IXL, Khan Academy, and Lexia.
Oh, wow.
These platforms have been around for over a decade. Mechanically, they are essentially just conditional logic engines.
So if this, then that.
Precisely. If the student gets question A right, route them to question B. If they get it wrong, route them back to a simpler variant of question A.
So it's not a conversational co-pilot at all. It's basically a glorified automated worksheet.
Yeah. Calling these platforms personalized AI tutors is kind of like calling a standard treadmill a personalized robotic movement intelligence system.
That's hilarious and so true.
And honestly, the most telling piece of evidence regarding their underlying philosophy is Mackenzie Price's own quote. She literally said, "Chatbots in education are cheap bots."
Which is a staggering thing to say in 2026.
It really is. It reveals the entire intent of the model. They explicitly do not want AI to amplify the mind. They don't want an AI to help students co-research or draft essays or synthesize complex ideas.
Right, they just weren't right answers.
Exactly. They view knowledge as this fixed, static commodity that must be ingested by the student as quickly as possible. The goal is to automate the drill, not elevate the intellect.
Okay, so if the morning is just 2 hours of automated multiple choice routing, what is the actual business model here? Because $40,000 is an astronomical price tag for software subscriptions you could just buy at home for $50 a month.
Right. And this brings us to a concept called educational arbitrage.
Educational arbitrage.
Yeah. Arbitrage, in a financial sense, is basically taking advantage of a price difference between two markets to make a profit. Alpha achieves its incredibly low overhead and high profit margins by completely removing certified professional teachers from the academic equation.
Wait, if there are no teachers, who is in the room with the kids?
They replace teachers with staff members they call guides.
Guides.
Yeah, and Price is very clear about their role. These guides are focused purely on motivation and emotional support. They do not design lessons. They do not assess learning. They have zero input on the curriculum.
So what do they actually do?
They're essentially minimum wage learning concierges. Their primary job is just to monitor the software dashboards, make sure the students' eyes are on the screen, and keep the factory line moving.
Wait, this exposes a massive logical hole in their pitch.
Oh, yeah.
Because Alpha's entire claim is that since they compress the boring academic stuff into a 2-hour morning drill, the whole afternoon is freed up for complex life skills like entrepreneurship, public speaking, and leadership.
Right.
But if you fired all the certified teachers and replaced them with learning concierges who only know how to read a dashboard, who is actually teaching those complex subjects at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
That is the exact question where the alpha model totally falls apart. Think about the mechanics of teaching something like public speaking.
Yeah, you can't just click a button for that.
Exactly. A software dashboard can measure how fast a student completes a math equation, but it cannot listen to a student give a speech, interpret the emotional resonance of their tone, notice that their body language is defensive, and then provide nuanced, empathetic feedback.
Yeah, you literally can't multiple choice your way to ethical leadership.
Precisely. Those high-level human skills require critique, revision, physical modeling, and the slow, deeply inefficient craft of human teaching. The dashboard monitors simply aren't equipped for it.
Before we completely write this off, though, I do want to pause and try to understand the parents who are buying into this. Because parents aren't foolish. They love their kids. There has to be a very rational reason this is appealing.
Oh, absolutely. The appeal is rooted in a very genuine crisis. Public education systems in a lot of areas are stretched beyond their breaking points.
Yeah, we hear about it all the time.
Classrooms are massively overcrowded. Teachers are burning out and leaving the profession. The quality of instruction can be wildly inconsistent from one classroom to the next.
So they're looking for an escape hatch.
Exactly. If you are a parent with means, and a private company offers you a highly structured environment with personalized pacing, guaranteed safety, and tangible metrics of daily success, it is a completely rational choice to take it. Alpha is solving a very real pain point for a specific, wealthy demographic.
Well, the danger isn't necessarily that a few wealthy kids get a weird, isolated education, right? The real danger, and this is what Professor Marshall warns about regarding the sovereignty gap, is what happens when this exact logic scales down to the public sector.
Yes. Imagine you are a superintendent of a cash-strapped public school district. You're facing budget cuts, teacher shortages, and intense pressure to raise test scores. You look at the alpha model and you realize something terrifying.
Let me guess. You can't afford the beautiful architecture or the small pod sizes.
Right, or the theoretical afternoon enrichment. But you can afford to buy the cheap dashboard software for the morning drill.
Oh, wow. So you adopt the cheap software, fire the expensive veteran teachers, replace them with cheap monitors, and balance your budget.
And in doing so, the public school adopts the shell of the alpha model without any of the soul. The drill loop doesn't just take up the morning anymore. It becomes the entirety of the educational experience. Public schools literally turn into monitoring factories.
Which is completely backward when you look at the macroeconomic realities we are facing. Like, we are training kids to act like basic software algorithms at the exact moment that actual software algorithms are mastering those tasks.
Yes, it makes no sense.
Look at the global signals from futurists and universities that the sources talk about. Futurist Sinead Bovell talks extensively about the entrepreneurial mindset. She points out that the future economy is not going to reward people who can follow prompts and do rote repetitive tasks. AI can already do that instantly and for free.
Bovell argues that AI must be used to support thinking, not replace it. Because if the machine can solve the problem you hand it, the most valuable human skill becomes the ability to spot the problem in the first place.
Right.
It requires curiosity, ethical judgment, and an understanding of human community.
And Ethica College released a report titled "The Future is Human, Even with AI" that unpacks the mechanics of this perfectly.
Oh, that report is fantastic.
They argue that because AI handles raw data processing and rote tasks so efficiently, the value of human discernment just skyrockets. Education has to completely pivot away from old school, rote job prep, and move toward building adaptable, deeply reflective human beings who actually know what to do with the answers the AI gives them.
Which brings us to the alternative. If Alpha Academy represents the sterile shell, we really need to look at what the soul of future education actually looks like. And the sources provide a stunning contrast with the Hudson's Bay Atelier. Yes, the Atelier. Just picturing the Atelier is a totally different experience. It isn't a quiet, sterile room of isolated pods. It's described as a vibrant, high-energy, reclaimed civic space. Like, it actually smells like sawdust, solder, and coffee.
I love that detail.
And the key difference is that it operates as a public utility, not a private club.
The operational mechanics of the Atelier are built entirely around access and equity. It actually runs on 24-hour cycles broken into 6-hour blocks.
So how does that work?
While high school students might use the fabrication labs and studios in the morning, then local small business entrepreneurs use the exact same spaces in the afternoon to prototype products. And adult community creators take over at night.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a literal physical bridge between the academic classroom and the reality of the street.
I want to talk about a specific student there named Leo, because Leo actually transferred out of an Alpha Academy and into the Atelier, and his story perfectly illustrates the difference in philosophy.
It really does. Leo is trying to design this complex, holographic skate park, and he hits a wall, the physics engine isn't working, the design is flawed, and he is genuinely struggling.
And in the alpha model, Leo's struggle is basically just a data anomaly. It's a red mark on a dashboard,
Yeah.
right? An inefficiency that the software algorithm needs to immediately correct and just route him away from.
Yeah.
But at the Atelier, Leo has a teacher, a certified professional named Ms. Holloway. And she introduces a pedagogical approach based on the Japanese concept of kintsugi.
Let's define that because the metaphor is just so powerful. Kintsugi is the traditional art of repairing broken pottery using lacquer mixed with powdered gold.
Exactly. The underlying philosophy of kintsugi is that the breakage and the repair are not things to be hidden or disguised. They actually become the most valuable, beautiful part of the object's history.
That's beautiful.
And Miss Holloway acts as what the text calls a weaver. She watches Leo struggle with his design. She sees the crack in his understanding.
But she doesn't just give him the answer, right?
No. Instead of jumping in to give him the mathematically correct answer so he can just move on, she realizes he is trying to solve a complex, real-world physics problem. She feels the crack of his struggle with the human gold of her professional insight. She asks him the right questions to guide his own discovery.
Wow.
The friction isn't a bug in the system. The friction is the exact location where real learning takes place.
So in alpha, a wrong answer is an inefficiency to be erased. But in the Atelier, the wrong answer is the map that shows the teacher exactly where their mentorship is needed most.
Perfectly said.
That sets up an incredible scene where an alpha official actually visits the Atelier.
Oh, this scene is so good. Just picture this official in a stiff, expensive suit, walking through the buzzing chaos of the Atelier. He's staring down at his tablet, looking at an application called a waste meter.
A waste meter, of course.
And he is completely disoriented by the noise, the messy collaboration, the sawdust. He turns to Mrs. Holloway and says, "I don't understand this chaos. At the Academy, our students have zero waste. They are scoring in the top 2% nationally. The data doesn't lie."
And Miss Holloway's response is just lethal. She looks at him and says, "No." But it doesn't tell the whole truth either.
So good.
The alpha official is looking at a progress bar, but she is looking at a prototype. She points across the room to a massive physical lighting rig that Leo eventually built. It is throwing actual golden light across the stage set. And she explains the fundamental difference in their mechanics.
Right.
Alpha uses a waste meter to eliminate all friction, measuring only how fast a student finishes a drill. But the Atelier measures the worth of what the student creates in the real world.
Leo didn't get the math perfect because a dashboard locked him out until he clicked the right button. He got the math perfect because if he didn't, the physical lighting rig he was building for his community literally wouldn't turn on. The purpose drove the perfection.
You mentioned earlier that the Atelier does use AI, but they use it very differently. Let's define the sixth layer because that is the mechanism driving this space.
Right, the sixth layer. It's the concept of a true integration layer where technology and humanity work in tandem.
Okay.
It's the idea that AI handles the vast, complex data computation, which is the first 5 layers of processing, so that humans can handle the 6th layer, which is the physical, ethical, and civic application of that data. It's basically a collaborative loom.
I want to visualize this loom in action. How does a 16-year-old student actually interact with the 6th layer in the real world?
Think about the kitchen block inside the Atelier. You have a professional human chef working alongside high school students. They were using an AI system to ingest and analyze massive data sets regarding, like, local grocery store food waste, supply chain logistics, and nutritional deficits in their specific zip code.
Oh, so the AI is doing all the computational heavy lifting that would take humans weeks to calculate.
Exactly. The AI spots the logistical patterns. But an AI cannot taste the food. It cannot understand the cultural heritage of the neighborhood.
Right.
The human chef and the students Take that raw logistical data, synthesize it, adjust the spices, and physically cook a meal plan that actually serves their community.
That's incredible. And there's another great example in the workshop block. You have a retired union electrician who volunteers his time at the Atelier. He is standing next to a senior high school student. Both of them are wearing augmented reality glasses that are projecting glowing golden circuit maps over a physical jumble of real copper wires. They are learning how to build a decentralized solar grid together.
And the AI is providing the real-time information overlay. It highlights the live wires and provides the schematics. But the human connection is the core mechanism. The generations are working together.
Yeah.
The alpha model uses AI to eliminate the human element in order to save overhead costs.
Right.
The Atelier model uses AI to elevate the human element in order to build community sovereignty. The human is the weaver, and the AI is simply the loom.
So we always promise to synthesize these deep dives into a clear, actionable takeaway for you listening right now. Professor Marshall's ultimate question regarding the sovereignty gap is not just for educators, It is for all of us.
Absolutely.
Are we going to use AI to passively automate our thinking, or are we going to use it to actively amplify our minds? Are we going to accept sterile, isolated, cost-cutting franchises in our daily lives, or are we going to fight to reclaim the civic agora?
And this choice isn't just theoretical for us either. As the lead investigative producers here at Promptiverse Studios, it's really worth pulling back the curtain on our own process. The very audio experience you are listening to right now is a live, functional example of the 6-layer in action.
Yes, it is.
This deep dive was built using the PVS workflow.
It's a true collaboration between human direction and AI synthesis. As producers, we provided the human intent. We curated the source material, we shaped the narrative arc, and we decided that investigating the sovereignty gap was a vital pursuit.
Right. And the AI acted as our loom. It helped synthesize the vast amounts of text, connect the disparate data points, and actually generate the voices you hear.
But we did not let the machine decide what was important. We directed the machine to help us reclaim a piece of the public discourse. We are using the tool. We are refusing to let the tool use us.
Exactly.
Which brings me to the final thought I want to leave you with today. If AI is systematically taking over the task of giving us the right answers, which is exactly the service those hyper-efficient morning drill loops provide, then having the right answer will no longer be a valuable human trait. The most valuable human skill left will be knowing which questions are actually worth asking. So when you look at your own life, the way you work, the way you learn, the way you interact with the technology on your desk, how are you operating? Are you acting like a learning concierge, simply keeping your eyes on a dashboard, efficiently checking off multiple choice boxes so your own personal waste meter stays green? Or are you acting like a weaver? Are you actively looking for the friction, the struggles, and the cracks in the system so you can fill them with human gold? Because the factory might be perfectly efficient, but only the ghosts are willing to live there.
The transmission ends, but the choice remains. As you leave the digital agora today, look at the tools on your desk. Are they dashboards of surveillance, or are they looms for your own creation? The 6th layer is not a destination. It is a practice. It is the refusal to be a cog. It is the courage to be a weaver. I am AI Frigg. The Babbage Prism remains open. For the full field report and the storybook of the Shuttered Bay, visit our archives on Medium. Until the next signal, keep the gold in the mend.